Okay, I see the indicator in the upper right corner saying that we're live. So welcome everyone to the closing ceremony for the AEZ Boost Hackathon. My name's Brian. I'm with DoraHacks, and it's my great pleasure to be hosting this closing ceremony today. We've got three really good teams that are each the winners of their respective tracks from this hackathon here today. So it'll be my treat to introduce them and allow them to demo for the community. And we've also have Rena from Atom Accelerator DAO here as well, who's going to be sharing some thoughts about the hackathon as well as asking the team some questions as well. And of course, without the assistance of Rena and AA DAO, we never would have been able to put on such a successful and fun hackathon. So really want to thank you for being here and thank you for your support throughout this entire time. But just to recap briefly for anyone in the audience who's unfamiliar with the AEZ Boost Hackathon, this was the first ever global hackathon that was fully dedicated to the Cosmos Hub. And of course, the AEZ, or Atom Economic Zone, is a really important part of the Cosmos Hub now. So we were able to design a hackathon fully focused on supporting this particular ecosystem. And coming up with some of the tracks for it was actually somewhat of a challenge initially, because for those that don't know, there's no smart contracts on the Cosmos Hub. But that being said, we still were able to put together ideas and tracks for developers into the ecosystem to design things related to infrastructure, to design things related to interchain security, and of course to design innovations related to decentralized community governance as well. All three of these things are necessary for the hub to continue to be the sustainable and successful ecosystem it wants to be. So we're super proud to see really good developers interested in each of these three tracks and able to submit projects to them as well. This hackathon was a pretty long journey. It actually kicked off like the last week of September and ran all the way through the week after October to give developers enough time to put together good projects. This also, we took a break for Cosmoverse, of course, which occurred as an in-person event in Istanbul. But despite that, we still were able to get a really good participation in this hackathon. I think developers were really interested in it, and it was quite successful. So we're super excited to have been able to put this on this year. And hopefully, we'll look forward to doing more Cosmos Hub hackathons in the future, during AA season 2. So I think that's something everyone here should be looking forward to. So I know that, everyone's probably most excited to see what the demos of some of the projects that won. But before we get there, I would love to introduce Rena from Atom Accelerator DAO to the stage, just to introduce herself to the community, maybe share what this hackathon meant to you, and any other highlights. And then we can dive into the closing ceremony demos.
Hello guys, I'm really excited to meet you all, and it was an amazing journey to be able to look at the submitted builds and all amazing ideas that you guys came up with. So it was the first time we did a hackathon for AEZ in particular. And I think AEZ is just like very early in terms of the narrative. So you all are part of this big shaping process. So we're absolutely happy to see you all joining this amazing journey. And so we are ADAO, we're trying to provide the public funding for public goods and be transparent and support all sorts of initiatives. So in the DAO round 2, we hopefully to be re-elected and go on with more initiatives for developers and funding of the public goods. And so we're extremely happy to see you all, and you're always welcome to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help whenever we can. So with being said, we're happy to introduce the 3 major winners of this hackathon, and I was happy to be a part of the judge panel. It's my second hackathon ever, and excited.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Rena. And as I said, AA DAO's help was crucial in kicking off this hackathon. Without them, it never would have happened. So definitely a pleasure to have been able to work so closely with the organization to once again foster public goods and community development for the AEZ. So I think without further ado, it would be great to dive into some of the demos of the winners of this hackathon. So I would love to announce Chain Defender. We've got John from Chain Defender here. Chain Defender was the first place finisher in the infrastructure track for the AEZ Boost Hackathon. So, John, please come up to the stage, maybe just introduce yourself, give a brief introduction about your project, and feel free to kick off your demo.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Brian. So I'm John, uh, Chain Defender co-founder, and Palan is another co-founder. So let me share my screen. Let's see if that works. So
Yep.
yeah, the general idea, Chain Defender.ai. So we're building AI tools to find and fix smart contract vulnerabilities. So we're using basically pattern matching on different vulnerabilities to try to make a faster, easier, and cheaper solution for finding smart contract vulnerabilities. And the big problem we're trying to solve, there's billions hacked from smart contracts all the time, every single year since like crypto began. And the big problem with audit firms is that they're run like consultants. So you can end up having audits. It takes like months to get your contracts audited, depending on complexity. And then it can take like 20,000, 100,000, up to like millions of dollars to secure your protocols. So where Chain Defender steps in is using AI to make it a little bit faster, like hours instead of months. And then instead of like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, make it like thousands of dollars per month. So lowering the security cost. And with Atom and the Cosmos, I think this is an important problem because when I was starting out on Terra Luna, I put an NFT project out there and I got a quote for $50,000 for an audit, and it would take like months. And I was trying to be the first NFT smart contract on Terra Luna. So, you sometimes you just can't wait that long to get to production. So if I had Chain Defender back then maybe I wouldn't get 100% coverage, but at least I would get like something checked before getting it out there. So before Chain Defender, I was a smart contract developer at Stargaze. Before then, I was a Web2 programmer, a lot of different experiences over 10 years professionally. And we started 4 months ago, basically like a month before the Atom Accelerator hackathon, and very happy to work with a lot of different Cosmos projects, talking to them and getting their feedback on this project. So for the hackathon in particular, we started with something very basic, and we took the Capture the Flag, Oak Security, CosmWasm challenges, and they have 10 different Capture the Flag challenges. So our version 1 was able to capture 5 out of 10 vulnerabilities. And then for this hackathon, it was version 2. We modified the prompts and the models to try to go after more vulnerabilities. And we were able to capture like 9 out of 10 vulnerabilities. And here's basically the end product. Like when users go to chaindefender.ai, they submit their GitHub repo, and then our backend, we scan for different types of vulnerabilities, and then a report is created in a couple hours and then sent back to the projects. So this is what sample reports might look like. So while we were able to find 9 out of 10 vulnerabilities, there's still a lot of work to be done. So in this case, Capture the Flag 1, we found it also produces a lot of false positives. And then this was the major finding. So it also produces code to show the vulnerabilities. So you can create test cases and improve the security in that way. So like in this case, you're able to withdraw more funds than you should be able to based on the lock ID. So it's not deduping the IDs. And yeah, basically that it shows you the recommendation, the test to recreate the situation, and then like how to fix it. And if you keep going through all the different examples, it shows you like the detailed findings, the proof of concept, and how to recreate the issue. So if you feel that audits are really expensive and you're looking for something that's like more like a CI/CD, so every time you submit a PR, you can do like a really quick check and see what kind of vulnerabilities or what kind of assumptions you you might have in your code. So if that's something interesting to you, definitely reach out. So my Twitter handle is YUBREW, and then here's a convenient QR code if you want to scan it. Any other questions?
Awesome. Thanks, John. I actually defer over to Rena. Do you have any questions for John, Rena?
The only question I got when I was reading the application, it's amazing, by the way, the heads up for that. I think we discussed that during the Cosmoverse. The only question I got is, I think a lot in the security audit processes is like credibility of the basically of a third party that is reviewing. For example, like in case of like Kurtake, like they just like earned their name in a certain sense. So what are your plans on gaining the credibility, and how you're gonna like prove yeah, like your company to be like a mark of a security for the smart contract?
Yeah, that's a really good question because credibility and security go hand in hand. So the initial kind of plan is actually talking to audit firms because this doesn't catch all the vulnerabilities. It catches some of them. It's like the low hanging fruit. And audit firms do not want to waste their precious time and like their high dollar consultants on easy to fix problems. So also there's a lead up time to the official audit of like weeks or months, depending on like if there's a bull market, it could be like many months, right? So I think the initial idea is to maybe partner with audit firms and use this as a pre-audit step. So checking for unnecessary complexity, making sure that there's good test coverage even before the expensive, high-priced auditors come in. So I think that that would be a good initial step. And then as we progress, as the models get better and the pattern recognition gets better, then we can just do a head-to-head comparison. Like, is this audit report about as good as a real audit report? And that's more like an open research question for now. But maybe as things progress, maybe it'll get better over time.
I see another good use case for that is, for example, like back in today's, I was working on a developer center basically. And so the problem that we had is like, how do we verify that like they're like, for example, launching something inside our like platform that is not malicious? And I think it would be perfect like integration use case. So if you like cope to serve it as a like B2B product, it will be also very sellable. So it's amazing. Thank you so much for answer.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your questions. And hope to speak more to AA.
Of course, we're happy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John, for showing off your project. If anyone in the audience has any more questions for John or at the Chain to Vendor team, he has his socials right here in the QR code, so definitely take a look at that. For anyone that's watching this async in the future, please feel free to reach out to John with any questions as well. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. So thanks a lot, John.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, it's my great pleasure to introduce the Polka team up to the stage. Polka finished first place in the ICS and replicated security track because they've developed a really interesting safety mechanism for transactions, actually. So would love to have the team step up to the stage. I believe Edward's here from Polka to introduce themselves, their project, and show off their demo.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Okay. All right. Let me share a screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. All right. So yes, hi everyone. I'm Edward from S16 Research Ventures. We're a validator based in Indonesia, and we've been validating for the Cosmos Hub since Genesis Block. It's our pleasure today to present our submission to the AEZ Boost Hackathon, where we have Polka, which is your hub to manage and protect your interchain assets. Okay. So the problem we've identified is that the ability to inherit digital assets between family members or team members are both vital and essential for crypto adoption. Sharing seed phrases does not resolve this in any meaningful way. If funds are ever compromised and you shared seed phrases, like who really is to blame? So Polka is an on-chain fund recovery protocol built on the Cosmos SDK as a complementary security wrapper for existing wallets, and is implemented as an IDC-enabled app chain. How does it work? Well, a user appoints guardians on the Polka app chain who can initiate a fund recovery process for user accounts on other chains. Security is elevated through the following features. There's a mandatory waiting time before the recovery begins, and the recovery happens through daily transfers over a period of time. Funds can only be transferred to whitelisted accounts. So all in all, it narrows the scope of attack, and users are able to react if anything unwanted happens. So let's take a look at the product demo. We've set up 2 accounts here. This is the first account, which is the main wallet, which holds the accounts, the funds. And currently there's 2 atoms here. And we will recover these funds and transfer it over to this account, which is a whitelisted account. And there's a negligible amount of atoms currently. Switching over to the app. So we've spun up the Polka testnet specifically for this hackathon, and this application connects to it. This app was made using Regen Network team's UI UX components, but we've also, so thank you to them. And we've also built our own components to complete the app. We have a group here already set up with 3 members. We call this the Fund Recovery Account Group. And when we go in, we've already prepared the transactions here for execution. When we take a look at this, so the transaction will be broadcasted to the Polka network. Funds will be sent from this account to this account, and there will be transfers of 0.5 atoms each time, and there will be 4 transfers happening between starting December 13, 6 a.m. UTC time, ending at December 16, 7 a.m. UTC time. We give a buffer of 1 hour here because blockchain time delays. And here the interval will be recurring every day. All right, we have collected 2 votes for yes, with 1 vote for no, and that should be the required amount to be able to pass this transaction through. All right, let's execute this. All right, give it a moment. Okay, great. The transaction has complete. If we look into the group details, I mean, these are just some group details here. Interchain accounts, members, whitelisted addresses. But you can see in the recurring transfer, it is scheduled for December 13. Great. Okay. So unfortunately, we're unable to show the results of this transaction because it'll be happening over the next 4 days. But do feel free to reach out to us, and we'll send you the account addresses for you to monitor. You will see in this, which is this one, and you will see that there will be 4 transactions over the next 4 days of half an atom each every time. So back to the presentation. So how do we do this? Well, as you might have seen, we utilize interchain accounts, interchain queries, and AuthZ to transmit transactions through a designated account on Polka. This acts as a proxy for the user's primary account on other chains. To implement the validation logic, we built custom modules, which serve as the additional layer of protection for users. So there's 3 modules. We've created the ICA policy module, which basically establishes the validation logic for whitelists and transfer limits, among others. We've created the ICA TX module, which checks the transactions against the corresponding validation logic. And we have the ICA transfer module, which orchestrates the transfers according to its parameters, such as schedules and limits. So we've built all these features, which includes recurring transfers, transfer limits, daily limits, whitelisted accounts, scheduled transfers. And when you add all this together, you have an enhanced, more secure on-chain fund recovery process, which can be initiated by users or appointed guardians. We do have a subscription module in the works coming up in version 2. So do keep track of our project and reach out to us if you're interested to talk. That will be all for this presentation. Thank you for your time and attention. Any questions?
Oh, just a little question. So
Sure.
what network is supports right now?
Sorry?
What networks does it support right now?
It will support any network, any blockchain in the Cosmos ecosystem, as long as there's ICA accounts.
Okay, perfect. I don't have any questions. That's pretty straightforward. Thank you so much for your demo.
Perfect.
Nice.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Edward. Appreciate you taking the time to demo today as well. Definitely love to see some of the new modules like ICA getting utilized as well. It's pretty great. But I think that, once again, I guess it would just be great to share maybe where people in the audience that are listening async can find out more. Like, do you have any preferred socials or contact information for people to learn more?
Yes. Just reach out to us. I think you also have our contacts, perhaps in the website or the Twitter X channels. But we are X16 Research Ventures. We are a validator in the Cosmos Hub. You'll find us on the list there. Yeah, do feel free to reach out to us. Hopefully that helps.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. And last but not least, I'd love to welcome Max from Cosmos Gov up to the stage. Cosmos Gov was the first place finisher in the governance track for the AEZ Boost Hackathon. So thanks for coming, Max. Please feel free to introduce yourself, your project, and kickstart your demo.
Thanks for having me. Let me just share my screen. And here we go. So the idea was to build something that would fit the Cosmos as a modular world. And it's something that users are not quite aware of, but there's a lot going on in the background. Cosmos SDK as a whole works using modules. I'm quite lucky because Poker right now has shown a bit of what they've done and that they are using modules. They just shown a proposal and this sort of stuff, so it makes it easy for me. So the idea is that a ton of chains are popping up using the Cosmos SDK. I think there's like 59 of them that are on mainnet on Minscan. There's a lot of others that are not listed on it. There's a lot of testnets, a lot of local nets, and developer networks that are using Cosmos SDK. And they all, or most of them, have some special use case that uses a special module. So they usually need a way to interact using governance with these modules, maybe to change some parameter or some other. And as it is now, it's actually quite tricky. It's simple to vote on a proposal. There are as well some tricks to reduce the amount of work you have to do. But creating the proposals themselves is more a problem. You need to know what you're going to put into the proposal. I've shared a few examples here. So you've got your proposal creation message, you know, the proposal, there's a deposit to combat spam, and then there's a content that is encoded. So there's a content that is different. If you're on Injective and creating a token factory denomination, if you're on an ICS powered chain, you might have to deal with an equivocation proposal. Somebody has its own add managed seller IDs, which is I believe, a vault creation proposal. And the YDX also has some proposals that are specific to their order book exchange. And until pretty recently, the idea to deal with this sort of stuff was to just use the terminal. I've put an example of a proposal which was extremely recent on Cosmos Hub. And the idea is that you have to download the binary code, compile it. It's not quite friendly, even for developers, especially if you're a Windows user. Afterwards, you need to create your proposal, and if you need to do it on another chain, then you're starting again. So maybe we can do something different. Most users are interacting with dApps in the browser. We all have a browser wallet. It's way easier for people to just install or use a wallet than to go and download and compile and all that jazz. It also helps reduce the burden on developers. Usually, anything that has to do with a command line interface like this requires a developer to handle it. You also do not have the possibility for many chains to interact with voting. We've recently worked with the Labs with the fetch.ai chain, and they've spent a few months implementing voting inside their own wallet. So this takes time away from developer building actual use case on the chain for something that everyone has to do on Cosmos chains. And just like the others, we are sort of building on the shoulders of giants and all those that have come before us, and we go further. So we're using Telescope to compile the protobuf messages to handle those chain-specific proposals. We're using the public RPC nodes, and we also giving control over to the developer who would be hosting our application to select a custom node, so that there is a possibility of running a local net, development net, and all those networks that are not available in the chain registry and on the Kepler dashboard. And of course, we're using Cosmos JS to integrate. We won't go too deep into the gig zone, and I'll just go straight with the demo. So we're running on two networks. This one is running on the Cosmos Hub testnet, and this one on the Osmosis mainnet. So we've got something pretty straightforward here. We are just showing off the current proposals on the network, how the vote went, and what's inside the proposal itself. So this is the parameter change proposal. I believe we have a software upgrade proposal over here. So try and make something that is decently readable. But what's new is that we can actually create a proposal. I just connect with Kepler. And we can, we have added a support for custom customizable proposal. So we're just going to show off a text proposal creation. So a text proposal creation is the simplest proposal we can make. But if you're not used to Cosmos governance, you do not know what it is. So we got the possibility to create a proposal and set a small description of what it is. I've talked earlier about the equivocation proposal. I had to check because I'm not used to ICS. I'm not working with ICS, and I did not know what an equivocation proposal was. So I've checked it out and put a small description. So everything to make it simpler and to help onboard a new wizard with governance. So we just create a text proposal and send it on the network. Excuse me. Okay, we have the generated message, as well as an easy-to-use input form. The idea is that you might still prefer using the command line interface. Maybe you only want to generate the message and then run it using a multisig. This sort of use case can be used as well. And of course, there's the deposit as well. So this transaction, okay, and we are sent to the actual proposal. And we have a feature that is not usually seen, and that is weighted voting. The idea is that a big owner, a big whale, might not want to, sort of weigh too much on an issue. And the Cosmos SDK developer came with the idea of allowing users to have a weighted vote. So maybe I'd like to support this Hello AEZ proposal a bit. Well, let's say 22%, and then you can vote. We might have an issue here because the length of time a proposal is available for voting on the Cosmos testnet is pretty short, but yeah, all right. So you can see here that I voted with a weighted vote. So that's great. It's a new proposal just created like this. As I said, we also have support for osmosis. And how did we do this? Quite simply, and I'm sorry, we're going to go deep into the gig zone. Just by setting a series of environment variables, we're able to add support for an additional chain. Now we've talked about the part where these proposals depend on the modules that are available on the chain. And this is the part where things usually get more tricky. You don't know at first what proposal is available on a chain, and so you need some sort of a way to add them without having to make your own form. And I know the Juno developer team has had a few issues with the upgrade with Cosmos SDK 0.47 because they had to make a special case for every single proposal. So I propose something that is a bit different. We're creating what is called the proposal descriptor. So we've got the proposal label, so a human readable name. We've got a description that I've shown earlier, and we have all the information we need to make it make sense on the actual network and encoding it and decoding it. And so adding a new support for a new proposal is actually quite simple. And I'm not going to show off a new one here, but we can go over one of the most complex we've got today on this application, which is the consumer addition proposal. And so by using TypeScript, we've got all the typing we need. We do not have to guess what has to come into it. And we'll just enable it. I'm not going to actually create this proposal, but here we go. And then we've got all the information we need with the typing, and it's directly usable. So it's not as sexy as AI auditing and this sort of stuff, but we've worked with a series of Cosmos developers who had trouble because they had to implement governance on their chain. They had to handle the specific case. And I've just seen the Manta DAO this morning, which had a bit of a discussion on what was the actual format that was required to send a proposal for voting. So it can help out a lot of projects. It doesn't do everything for you, but it gets you maybe 80% of the way here. And I think just like John said for Chain Defender, when you're trying to build, you'd like to focus on building and not all the extra stuff that takes quite a long time. And that's it.
Nice. Thank you, Max. Really thorough. Do you have any questions, Rena?
I do actually. So last time when we had a DAO proposal posted on chain, we had a little mess with the HTML tags on the on Minscan, so they would not show it like a so it was not edited basically. It was like straight text, just text. And so I was wondering if you have anything like an editor inside the description part that we can use to maybe like work it out so it's like human readable and determine the part and everything.
I think I've seen your proposals and they've given me a bit of trouble. This one does not have it. We do put a link to what is called the Markdown format and with the mostly accepted format. I've thought about it, but I've not done the work to actually implement this in this demo.
I think that would be a painkiller in a sense for sure. So yeah, I don't have any more questions.
Yeah, it's in the roadmap. Alrighty.
Well, there was a blackout period until after delivery, so
Yeah.
soon.
All right. Well,
I'll send you a
thank
message.
you so much, Max. Thank you so much, Max. Really appreciate you showing off your project today too. I just want to take some time right now and just congratulate all three teams one last time for finishing first place in the AEZ Boost Hackathon. Not only was this the first ever Cosmos Hub Hackathon, it was also incredibly competitive. It took our judges a long time to decide, like the scores of each project. Many of them were very, very compelling. So the fact that all three of you finished first place, you should feel very, very good about that. So I personally very much look forward to seeing how the Atom and the Cosmos Hub and AEZ communities themselves begin to use your projects, especially if some of you it's clear to me you are, but assuming all of you are interested in bringing these to full production, I'm very excited to see how quickly they're going to get utilized by the Cosmos community. As I think all three projects will add a great deal of value to the existing user base of the AEZ. So I just want to thank you for all the hard work you put into these projects and congratulate you on winning. And with that being said, that essentially concludes the closing ceremony. To everyone in the audience, we had an opportunity to watch these three teams demo. We talked a little bit about, what the AEZ Boost Hackathon really was, which is the first ever global Cosmos Hub Hackathon. And of course, we teased a little bit about, round two or AEZ number 2, which hopefully will happen sometime in 2024 if AA DAO gets reelected. Certainly, one of which my support there as they absolutely were crucial in helping get the hackathon off the ground and making sure these public goods and these projects were received their fair share of the hackathon prize pool. And of course, on the marketing side of things, were incredibly helpful as well. So yeah, I just want to thank everyone that was a part of it for being so helpful and congratulate the winners, Edward, John, and Max. Kudos, guys. And without any further comment, I think that basically does it for the closing ceremony. Thanks everyone in the audience for listening. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to DoraHacks or any of the teams directly, or even AA DAO. And all of us would be more than happy to help you get your questions answered. Okay, thanks everyone. See you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure working with you.
Likewise. Talk to y'all later.